This hour, we are in Florida for the Bedtime murder trial for defendant Jermaine Bass. Welcome to Court TV Live. I'm Julie Grant. This man is accused of shooting his two beautiful young children, killing one of them, his 5-year-old daughter, Jayla. Let's take a live look at the courtroom together. Testimony is set to resume any minute. Our cameras are ready to go. Tuesday was a key day in getting to understand the story of what happened the night of the shooting. How does it go from the kids being tucked in, things are peaceful, they go to bed, good night, to this shooting, which the defendant said initially was accidental. Now, at trial, his defense team is saying someone else in the house did the shooting. Let's go back to what came into the courtroom on Tuesday.
When Shirley Bass showed up, was Jermaine Bass with her?
No.
How was Shirley's behavior that night at the dinner?
It was fine.
Did anything seem out of the ordinary with her?
No.
Was she communicative and talkative and just hanging out with everybody the same way she always did?
Yes, I saw her smile.
Okay. Anything about that night that would give you any reason to believe something was going on in Shirley Bass's home?
No.
How long do you believe you all were at that dinner?
A couple hours.
Okay. Were you there when Shirley left?
Yes.
And did you see who she left with?
I believe she left with China. They walked out at the same time. Okay. We were still waiting for our car.
Okay. And when she left, did everything appear normal with Shirley?
Yes.
Was it, in fact, a nice dinner that you all had that night?
Yes.
You all took pictures?
Yes.
Have you followed up with JJ's care and know what's happening with JJ?
Yes.
Okay. How is JJ doing today?
He has some struggles, but he's recovered very well considering.
Okay. Is the bullet that was shot into him, is it still inside his head?
Yes.
They were not able to take it out?
No.
As a result of that, has that limited Jermaine's ability to do things in his day-to-day life?
Yes.
How so?
He has trouble with processing, and he has receptive and expressive language disorder. The left side of his face is paralyzed. His left ear was closed permanently because the back, I guess, from what I heard at the doctor's appointment.
Objection, hearsay. Let's see what you observed.
What I observed?
Or what you've observed.
What I've observed is his left ear is closed permanently.
Okay. And he can't hear out of that left ear?
Correct.
All right. As a result of this, is he not allowed to play like physical sports?
He cannot play tackle football.
Other than all that, though, he is still progressing and going through school normally and as any other child would?
He's below a little, but he's moving through.
Okay. How about his hand? How is his hand at this point?
His finger stopped growing. They fused it, and so it stopped growing. And so when he writes, he has to take often breaks. He writes like this so that he doesn't have to lay his finger on whatever surface he's writing on.
Okay, and you did this, when you just did this, and for the record, you lifted up the pinky and you held the fingers and the thumb kind of together like you're holding something, but with the pinky still out.
Correct, because he has sensitivity issues.
And you did that with your right hand, so he's right-handed?
He's right-handed.
Okay, on the same entryway that you're driving on, this car or this truck stops in front of you and somebody gets out of it, you're saying that that's Jermaine, right?
Yes.
And approaches your car or Shirley's car that you're driving?
Yes.
Okay. And you're saying that he comes to the driver's side and he asks Shirley if she had been drinking and kind of why isn't she driving her own car, right?
Yes, exactly.
Do you ever see any kind of weapon?
No.
Does Shirley answer him?
I don't remember.
Okay, you described it as Shirley just kind of brushes it off.
Yeah.
And then he goes back to his truck and he drives off?
Yes.
Do you ever see the truck again?
Like later in the years, yeah.
Okay, but not that night?
Yeah, not that night.
Okay, no other contact with Jermaine that night?
No.
Was anyone trying to get by you guys when this is happening?
No, they like all stopped.
Everybody stops?
Yeah, like all the cars that was behind us.
Okay, is anyone honking?
No.
Yelling, getting mad that you all are stopping this traffic going on to 275?
No, it's like everyone's seen it happen, like how he went around us
Okay.
aggressively.
And you said that Shirley didn't seem upset by any of that.
No.
When you start to drive, you get to your apartment, right?
Yes.
Does Shirley stay with you?
No, like she goes home after. She drops me off.
Okay, so she wasn't worried about going home.
No.
And you say later the next morning is when you hear about anything happening with the children.
Yeah.
Okay. You don't talk to detectives, law enforcement, until over a year later when they interview you. Is that right?
Yes.
It wasn't until October of 2023 that you finally speak to them.
Yes.
So that's a look at what happened on Tuesday. So we're getting an idea of the buildup, right? Nothing ever happens just in a vacuum. So Jermaine Bass was mad. He was mad. He was all amped up. He went out and followed his wife, Shirley, wouldn't just let her have her night alone with her girlfriends, with her family, enjoy the dinner. No, he had to follow. I had to tailgate them, which is a dangerous thing to do on the highway, get them to pull over and then interrogate them a bit about why his niece was driving, why his wife wasn't. So he's upset. And then they get home to the house. And then we know the kids are kissed goodnight and the shooting happens. So there's a gap. We need to know what happened in this gap. Are we going to find out this morning? Maybe. I want to show you a live look at the courtroom right now. Her Honor is on the bench. And if Her Honor looks familiar, she was presiding over the dog park murder trial. That's the Honorable Samantha Ward, the judge presiding over this case. Excellent judge. And if she looks familiar to you, she should, because we've seen her in action before. There is a defendant, again, looking very sharp on his third day of trial. I was saying to my colleagues, boy, he has no shortage of nice, sharp suits. That is exactly how you want to look when you're on trial, especially in a case as serious as this. And a lot of times we see defendants and even witnesses sometimes making the mistake of attire because it matters with optics. Everything matters. The eyeglasses matter, everything. Haircuts matter, all of it. Jurors look at everything. They look at whether shoes are shined. Believe it, they do. Let me bring in our legal analyst guest to talk about this. Criminal defense attorney, former prosecutor, and law professor, Franz Borghardt. Franz, let's start with the optics. As you know, we like to do this with every case, every defendant. Jermaine Bass is no different. Your thoughts on how he's presenting himself for the jury?
So as a defense attorney, they knocked it out of the park with his appearance, right? He seems attentive. He seems well groomed. He seems to be well dressed. This is what you want. And it's a delicate dance, Julie. It can't be too over the top, too flashy. It needs to be something that is almost unnoticed but yet noticed. Taking it serious, but yet not trying to make the courtroom into some kind of flashy runway. They nailed it on that. That's not a worry for them. What's a worry for them is what is a jury going to do with these facts? And look, to be clear, Mr. Bass has already gotten a victory in so much as he's not facing the death penalty. In the defense world, that's a huge win. Death is off the table. So to some degree, he's playing with house money. Now, if I'm defending him, I'm trying to get to a lesser charge of like manslaughter, some kind of heat of passion. The problem is he's boxed himself in by not remembering what happened. And so that narrative of what happened is now kind of boxed in with, I don't remember, I blacked out. And that's going to be a problem for the defense.
Right. You're absolutely right, Franz. You know, his demeanor also I see as a bit problematic because he's so stoic. And this case is about his children. His children are the victims here. And whether it was somebody else or an accident, you would think he would emote a little bit. What do you think about that?
It's hard. it's hard for anybody who's on trial, sitting where he's sitting, whether you're guilty as the day is long or innocent. There's no right facial expression. And look, let's not mince words. He loved the victims. He loved everybody in this, the cast of characters. He probably loved all of them. He does love all of them. So there's the added, like, you're on trial for the rest of your life. And then, by the way, the person that is lost, you loved them. So, stoic, yes. But if he was unattentive, then we would be talking about that. So, sometimes you do the best you can with what you have. And I think to some degree, as we keep getting into the facts, I think that hard candy shell will crack at some point and we'll see some emotion.